Hi, welcome back. This is Dave Barker. This time we're going to talk about covering live events, doing live shots, whatever you want to call them in our business. And let me tell you something, when I first started, certainly we had live trucks and satellite trucks and all that stuff, but it wasn't so permeated in the business as it is now. If live work, if you haven't done any, or if you've done some, you don't feel good at it, you're kind of scared of it and you're shying away from it, do not. Jump in there and learn how to do live work, okay? Because trust me, it's going to impress every boss you'll ever meet if you can handle live work. And by the way, whatever you're not good at in this business, jump in and volunteer and do it. You're going to become better, right? But live work, trust me, you have to do it nowadays. I mean, news, the camera never blinks. It doesn't. News never stops, especially these days, quite literally through live work. So become a really good live reporter. Let me give you a few examples of things I've been involved with. I've been involved with some of some of the biggest stories of our time. One of them, this was the Malibu mudslides and fires in Los Angeles back in the mid-90s. And by the way, I've covered war in the Middle East. I was at ground zero on 9/11, and you know, I've had guns to my head by a gang member. Been threatened. My life has been threatened by the most dangerous thing I've ever covered. I don't know if Steve, my photographer shooting this, would agree, or wildfires. These were out west. Have you ever shot any, Steve? You haven't? Oh, he's done everything. But to me, you know, you got to know the wind. You got to know where the fire is going. Fire creates its own wind. You have to know these kind of things. So let me just show you a little bit of some live work back in the 90s from Malibu, California.
Again, it has jumped Malibu Canyon Road for the very first time all day. And we have a new leading edge of the battle here on the western side of this fire. Wind gusts right now tremendous, probably 40, 45 miles an hour. We have been just warned to get out of this area. So we're just going to show you this just for a few more moments. Again, the western edge of this fire has now jumped Malibu Canyon Road and heading our way. We're leaving. We're being warned right now to get out of this area. All right, we're leaving. Thank you. Mike, this is an absolutely frightening scene behind me. The worst fears of all the firefighters and officials in this area this afternoon are realized tonight. The fire, as we mentioned a few moments ago, has now jumped Malibu Canyon Road to the west and is now threatening Pepperdine University. And to my left here, this huge Hughes Aircraft Research Laboratory. Of course, not only home to a lot of Hughes projects, but to General Motors and a lot of other secret projects, a multi-million-dollar facility here. Now let me show you here, Marco, if you can come back to me. This fire started about a half an hour ago. We saw a circle about this size, and that's all where we were broadcasting just 6 or 7 minutes ago is now totally engulfed in flames. And again, the flames are headed straight towards Hughes Aircraft and Pepperdine University.
We literally could have died that night. We had probably the best coverage of that. My wife actually was the producer at CBS, calling, and she kept calling for my stuff, not because she was married to me. She said, I was looking at all the stations, your stuff just looks spectacular, because we were in there, we were aggressive. But, you know, I didn't know where the wind was coming from. I really didn't know at the time that, again, that fire generates its own wind. And we didn't have blankets, you know, these aluminum blankets over ourselves. We didn't have an exit plan. If these firefighters at one point didn't see us and yelled to us, we'd have been burned up. We might have got by from the truck, I don't know. But just know where you're going, have an exit plan, know about the winds if you're covering wildfires, all right? All right, so the next one I want to do is the LA riots. I actually started, again, my dream was to get to New York, but I got there through Los Angeles, where I grew up, so that was a big dream to get to Los Angeles. My third day on the job, the Rodney King verdicts and the LA riots. They started in South Central Los Angeles, but then probably the second day they moved north towards Hollywood, where I live. I worked on Sunset Boulevard at CBS, at Television City. And I didn't have a live truck, but my photographer and I heard that there was smoke in Hollywood. So we just ran out and jumped in our car. And we were heading towards Grauman's Chinese Theater. That's the place where they put the actors' footprints and handprints in concrete. But we didn't even get there. We found this really incredible thing happening at this building that was burning in Hollywood that to me kind of epitomized or was the microcosmic event of what business owners were going through during those riots. Take a look at that.
Let's go ahead and show you some videotape now of the largest fire. This was at the intersection of Hollywood Boulevard and Wilcox. It is called the Hollywood Swap Meet. When the owner of this building came up, no way to describe this. Let's listen to her words.
What are you doing? They're trying to make a living. That's how they are. I don't understand why nobody doing nothing. Why? Everybody is staying. Everybody watching. Only watching.
I'd love to tell you that was exclusive, but it wasn't. Everybody was there. I was working for CBS, but NBC and ABC and a lot of independent stations in LA and CNN. Everybody was there. But you know what? Everybody used that as a natural sound bridge in their stories. You saw what we did. I ran back to the set and did it live, just kind of talked about it. To me, that was really, and my photographer and I talked about that, really, really important event. All right, next, I want to kind of go to the feature end of live reporting. For many years, I did Times Square. You've seen Ryan Seacrest from American Idol do this now. He's taken over from Dick Clark, doing the New Year's Eve celebrations. By the way, you ever get a chance to do this, it is a blast. But I would argue that doing live work, especially like this Times Square New Year's Eve, is a lot harder than covering a fire or whatever, because you're going to be dancing with a lot of big name talent that you don't know who's going to be there all the time. I remember one time it was Colin Powell walks by and boom, we were doing him, and then one of the American Idols come by, and they're all great folks, and they're all, you know, just walking by you, and so you really, really have to be prepared. You have to kind of know the landscape of where they're going to be coming up, because you might see them in advance. You have to talk to their advanced people, their scouts. Go to them. They'll not always come to you. So who you got coming up? So you got to be really active at these feature kind of scenes too. So take a look at some of that.
We have shot a lot of amazing images over the past year, but I don't think anything came close to what happens here in Times Square when it comes to that. This camera right here. It was the first year that they went to the computerized system, and they missed it by about a second or two. And, you know, the new year was brought in here at about midnight plus 2 seconds. It was major news on the front page of all the newspapers. Oh, my goodness, they missed it by a second the next morning. Hasn't happened since then.
I won American Idol, and I got to record the CD I wanted to record, and I had a top 10 hit, and it went gold, and I'm just like, I don't even know what to say.
And 1 billion people hear you tonight.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm glad somebody didn't tell me that before we went on. Okay. Woo!
You get a hug for that. Thank you, Lord. I appreciate it. Good luck to you.
Happy New Year.
So again, I have been involved with some of the biggest stories of our time and done a lot of them live. I'm not bragging about it, just is. I've been really, really lucky. And again, I'm humbled by some of the work I found myself in the middle of. But live work, it is such a blast. It is so interesting. Anything can happen. That's what makes it such great storytelling. If you're not good at live, if that scares you, as I told you before, volunteer for it. Get good at it. It's ubiquitous now in the television news business. I can only tell you my experience. I'm a pretty good live reporter, but it was hard starting out. Now, I learned never to memorize a script. If you forget just one part of it, you're going to stop, you're going to look at that camera, you're going to look like a deer, you're not going to know where to go. I would suggest writing out your entire live shot once, look it over a few times, then write another version with just a few outline points. Now, in the beginning, keep your live shots short. News directors like that anyway. By the way, never run to a live shot, even if you're at deadline. That's a disaster waiting to happen. You never want to be out of breath as you start. Now, experience will make you good at live shots. Trust me. Experience will bring confidence, and confidence is everything in this business. A live work is foreboding, no doubt at the start. But with time, you're going to welcome even the mistakes you make live. They sometimes are what make live shots interesting.